All right, let's dive into something pretty wild today. We're going to explore this really strange and powerful connection. Basically, how the stories we cook up in our heads can cause very real, very physical reactions in our bodies.
I mean, think about it, right? You're totally safe, maybe you're curled up on your couch, but just a few words on a page can make your heart start hammering against your ribs, make your palms get all clammy. Why is that? How can something that's not even real have such a powerful physical grip on us? I mean, just look at the difference. When you're reading a thriller, your body goes on high alert. Your heart's pounding, your muscles are all tensed up. But reading a shopping list? Nah, nothing. Your body knows the difference, and it's the story that's flipping that switch.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. This is where the mystery really starts. Imagine reading the scariest story you can think of, one that has everyone else literally jumping out of their skin, and you feel absolutely nothing. No racing heart, no sweaty palms. What in the world would that mean?
Well, that question leads us to our first big clue in this whole thing, a neurological condition called aphantasia. You can think of it as basically having a dark mind's eye.
So, what is aphantasia? Well, it's the inability to voluntarily create mental images. If I ask you to imagine an apple, most of us can picture it, right? You see the red skin, the stem, maybe a little leaf. But for someone with aphantasia, their mind's eye is just blank. It's dark. There's a total absence of any visual imagination. Someone with aphantasia put it perfectly. They said, "The words are just words. I know the character is in a forest, but I don't see the trees." So for them, reading is all about understanding the concepts. It's intellectual. The words just stay abstract. They never ever morph into actual pictures inside their head.
So this got researchers thinking about a really crucial question. If you can't see a scary story, does your body still feel it? And to figure that out, they came up with a clever experiment to measure something you absolutely can't fake: your sweat. The setup was just brilliant in its simplicity. They got two groups of people together, one with aphantasia and another with really vivid imaginations. They had both groups read the exact same thrilling, intense stories, all while they were hooked up to sensors that measured their sweat response, which is a super direct way to measure fear and stress.
And the results? They were absolutely staggering. I mean, look at this. The vivid visualizers had this huge physiological response. Their bodies were reacting as if the danger was right there in the room with them. But the group with aphantasia? Almost nothing. Their response was basically a flatline. Their bodies just stayed calm, completely detached from the story's tension.
So what does this actually tell us? Well, it points to this direct line, this link between what we see in our mind's eye and what our body feels. And in aphantasia, it seems like that link is just broken.
Okay, so let's walk through how this usually works for most of us. First, you read the words, and you create the visual imagery. You picture the monster hiding in the dark. That mental picture then triggers a visceral sensation, that gut-level physical feeling. And then finally, your brain takes that bodily feeling and labels it as the emotion we call fear. It's like a chain reaction.
But for someone with aphantasia, the whole theory is that this chain reaction just falls apart at step one. If you can't create that initial visual image, if that first domino doesn't fall, then the gut-level sensation never even gets triggered. And without that physical feedback from your body, the emotional response is either super dampened or it's just not there at all. And this brings us to this really key idea called visceral intensity. This isn't just a thought. It's that deep physical gut feeling that makes your stomach drop or your heart race. What this research is telling us is that this physical sensation, it's the true engine of emotion in storytelling. It is what makes fiction feel real. So let's zoom out. What's the big picture here? Why does this connection between our mind's eye and our sweat glands matter to all of us, not just people with aphantasia? Okay, so let's really break down the takeaways here. First, imagination is so much more than just a movie playing in your head. It's a full-body simulator. It actually engages your entire physiology. Second, our ability to feel a story seems to be directly wired to our ability to physically experience it inside ourselves. And finally, that means our mind's eye is acting as this incredibly important bridge, connecting the make-believe world of a story to the very real physical world of our own bodies. And that really leaves us with one last thing to chew on. We all live with a different level of brightness in our imaginations, and this research shows us just how much that internal light switch controls the emotional reality of the books we read, the movies we watch, and the stories we tell ourselves. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? what does the world actually feel like when the lights in your mind's eye are completely out?